Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we will learn how to create a text flicker animation with HTML and CSS, like the one you see right here. So let's get started. Here we have a div element with a class attribute set to sign. Inside the div element there is a span element with a class attribute set to first flicker. The span contains the letter C. It is used for applying a special animation effect to this letter. Next we have a div grid that is representing the character OD. Another span element with a class attribute set to flicker. The span contains the letter I and it is also used for applying a special animation effect. Next we have a div representing the character NG. Now let's set CSS. Let's set the body element. Here we set the background color to a dark grayish color. Next we use background image. Here we create a multiple linear gradient that create a checkerboard pattern in the background. The first one, we create a diagonal line with a 335 degree with alternating black and transparent clear stripe, each 23 pixel wide. So this pattern is repeated to create a diagonal line in the background. Similar to the previous line but at a different angle 155 degree, it also creates diagonal line with alternating black and transparent stripe. The other two linear gradients are identical to the first two but with different position, creating a checkerboard effect. Next we use background size, that is 58 pixel and 58 pixel. It determines how the patterns are repeated across the background. Next we set the background position 0 pixel and 2 pixel, that is starting position of the first linear gradient top left, 4 pixel and 35 pixel, that is the top right, and 29 pixel and 31 pixel, that is the bottom left, and 34 pixel and 6 pixel, that is the bottom right. Now let's tell the sign class. Here position is set to absolute, display is set to flex, justify content and align item is set to center, so that content is center the content both horizontally and vertically. Width is set to 50%, height is set to 50%. Next we set the background image that create a radial gradient background for the sign element. It start with a color pink at the center, that is 50% and 50%, and gradually fades to transparent, that gives the background a soft radial appearance. Next we set the transform to translate -50% and -50%. Letter spacing is set to 2, so that it increases spacing between letters by 2 pixel. Left and top is set to 50%. Font family is set to sans serif. Text transform is set to uppercase, so that make it all capital letters. Font size is set to 6 em, so it make the text quite large. Color is set to shade of a pink Next, we add a text shadow with multiple text shadow effect to the text. It creates a glowing or halo effect around the text. It adds a pinkish glow to the text. Next, we apply two animation to the sign element. The first one is the shine animation that runs for 2 seconds and forward. And the second one is flicker animation that runs infinitely with a duration of 3 seconds, creating a flickering effect on the text. Now let's set keyframe of blink animation. Here 0%, 22%, 36% and 75%. These are keyframes at specific percentage of the animation duration. At this keyframe, the text color and text shadow are set to specific values, creating a flickering effect with different colors and different shadow. At this keyframe, the text has a color of white something and various text shadow effect. At this keyframe, the text color is changed to pink and the text shadow is set to none. And at this keyframe, the text shadow is changed to dark pink and the text shadow is set to none. Now let's tell a flicker class. Here we set the animation to shine 2 seconds forward and blink 3 seconds, 2 seconds infinite. Next we have a first flicker. It assigns the same blink animation but with a longer duration of 10 seconds and at 1 second delay before it starts. Now let's set keyframe of shine animation. Here 0% is the starting keyframe at the beginning of the animation. Here we set the color to a deep purplish color and the text shadow is set to none so that making the text appear with no shadow. And at 100% we set the text color to a pale pinkish color. And the text shadow, here we add multiple text shadow with varying offset, blur, radius and color. This shadow creates a dynamic and glowing effect around the text. Now let's set keyframe of flicker animation. Here the starting keyframe, it sets the opacity element to 1, which means it is fully opaque, and at the 4% the opacity is set to 0.9. At 6% opacity is set to 0.85. At 10% opacity is set to 0.9. At 11% opacity is set to 0.922. At 12% opacity is set to 0.9. At 14% opacity is set to 0.95. At 16% opacity is set to 0.98. At 70% opacity is set to 0.9. At 19% opacity is set to 0.93. At 20% opacity is set to 0.99. At 24% opacity is set to 1. At 26% opacity is set to 0.94. At 28% opacity is set to 0.98. At 37% opacity is set to 0.93. At 38% opacity is set to 0.5. That makes the element partially transparent. Next we have a 42% that the opacity is returned to full, that is 1. At 44% and 46% we set the opacity 0.97 and 0.94, so that a slight drop and recovery in opacity. At 56% opacity is set to 0.9. It drops again. At 60% it returns to full opacity, that is 0.99. Between 68 and 72 there is subtotal opacity changes. At 93% and 95% there is a slight drop and recovery in opacity. Finally, at 2, the opacity returns to full, that is 1. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.